Choose one.
Let's go ahead and begin. All right, jumping right into it. Let's go back to the NBA GOATS data frame, our situation again. Answer or create more complicated questions and go from there. So the process is I already downloaded it. It's in my downloads directory. Okay, there's my empty. I'm open up. I'm going to open up my other directory. Why is it not? Okay, there we go. Which is interesting, right? Go to R, go to ETV cycles. We're gonna create a new directory called ETV cycle _5. Okay, last but not least. All right, and so then we're gonna move it over here. Boom. I'm gonna open up Positron. Okay, and here we go. Here's my directory. I'm not going to make it a full screen so you can still see me. At least I can still see myself that I'm on the screen. There we go. And then open up the directory on our desktop. So here we go. There we go. Right there. Boom. And then we have all this. Okay. Interesting. Why is that? I didn't close it, I guess, last time. And there we go. Oh, no. There we go. Finally, it's 5. We got there. We finally got there. And this time, I'm actually going to work out a source. When I was creating this, I was like, I'm working out of, a viewer, but it's easier for me at least to work out a source in this situation. So again, we're looking at the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James in terms of the first 15 seasons. But the thing is, the way we did it was low-key archaic in that in terms of bringing in the data, we did one sheet at a time. We want to make it a little bit more not complicated, but a little bit more intricate. It's synonym for complicated, but you're gonna see that we can bring in the entire Excel sheet with one simple function. Now that we have those skills, to me, I thought the extraction might look a little easier. Transformation might look a little bit easier, a little bit more complicated, but still a little bit easier. But the visualization, that's where we're going to spend a little bit more time. We'll see how that goes, because I talk a lot anyway. So, some questions that we're going to be looking at is to see which player team pairs produce the highest average game score. Does conference membership affect that ranking? We want to see how the division and conference in terms of impact, players playing at home and away. We'll talk more about the conferences as well as home game rates across all 3 players. Okay. For some reason, I already gave you all the libraries. I don't think you actually. I might remove these. It's okay. But let's at least discuss what the packages are doing. Here's allowing us to go ahead and go from each directory. Read Excel is going to allow us to read in Excel sheets. Per is going to allow us to iterate across a vector. dplyr allows us to do transformations. tidyr allows us to do transformations. stringr allows us to manipulate string text. ggplot allows us to create visualizations. Forecast allows us to work with factors. And then scales allows us to manipulate visualizations in terms of the x and y axis in terms of the scales. Yeah. Oh, this is empty. Oh, yeah, I did that on purpose. And so when it comes to bringing in the data, it's imperative that we actually know which actual sheets are in the Excel file. We did this before, but there's no reason why we shouldn't do it again, just so we can get an understanding, right? So our path, the path to our directory, to our data is path to goats. Okay, and I'm just going to do assign here, and this is going to, I think it's located in data. Okay, so it's just in data. So data, then comma, and then we're going to do NBA. I think it's just NBA goats. NBA _ goats dot xlsx. Okay, so when I run this, boop. Can't find here because I didn't run this. Good there. Let's see, does this get us to the goats data frame? Excel sheet. Looks like it does. Okay, let's confirm that by getting the names of the actual Excel sheet by using Excel sheets function, and do path 2 goats. I'm sorry, I'm so silly. So here we have the path to we have the sheets like we saw in extraction, transformation, visualization number 2. So that's good there. So what we're going to do is I want to how do I say this? I want to be able to create a list of all the information within the Excel sheet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this. Okay, I'm gonna say sheets or sheet names. So what I'm trying to articulate out loud is that I'm going to read in the entire workbook, KB, LJ, MJ, variable names and divisions, but I'm going to save it as a list. I want to save it as a list. And the rationale for that is just so that you can see the working mechanism of how to do that. So the way we would do this, and I'm in my notes, I say all sheets, but ideally I like to say LST to signify to myself that that's a list. So let's do that. So all sheets LST assign, and I'm gonna take the sheet names. Okay, that's gonna be needed, and I'm gonna plug this into that map function so that I can actually set names function, so I can actually set the names to each of the sheets, which you'll see. So I'm gonna say set names. That's a new function, I believe. That allows me to specify each and every item within the list with a particular name based on the sheet. Okay, so from there, finally, I'm actually gonna put it into a map function to then bring it into R. So I'm gonna do map sheet as my variable, okay, as an anonymous function, read Excel, the actual path to goats, okay, the actual path to goats, and then I'm going to say sheet is equal to sheet, okay? And what this is going to do is bring in each and every item from that actual Excel file and then store it into a list. All sheets is the name, where each of the items are going to have a name of the following. Sheet name does not exist. Did I spell it wrong? Did I save it? There we go. So if we look here, all sheets list, you can't see it. Okay, that's fine. You can't look at the, we can actually say str all sheets, and we can see the information within the list. There's a lot of information, so it's going to be hard for you to see, but you can see that there's the data frame for the variable names, data frame for the divisions, and I think the first one's Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. And so that's all the information stored as a list, and that's great. And we can, if you want to, we can just like look at, let's say one of them. We can say all sheets list, double brackets, and then we can say variable names, for example. When we run this, we can actually see the data frame, okay? But there's an inherent issue with this, right? Because we want to answer those, subtask questions, but the data frames are not together. They're separate. Like they're in different locations. And so if you remember in video 2, we ended up doing a bind rows to combine all the players, and then we're going to eventually have to do a join in order for us to connect the divisions data frame to the legitimate players data frame. So that takes a little bit of work. But instead, what we're going to do is create a function that brings in each of the data frames individually, brings in the data, and then what we're going to do is use a map function to then bind them all together. So it's going to do all the work for us. So here's the function. I already outlined a lot of it. Okay. So if you want to take a moment and try to guess at what things will be, that'll be great. But I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it. So again, we're creating a function to be able to read in each sheet. Okay. So that's going to need to be function. And then from there, we're going to have to read in the Excel file. We're going to have to read in the actual sheet name. So therefore, we're going to use the function read Excel. read Excel. And then from there, path to goats, you're going to provide the extension, which is not going to change no matter the player. And then we're going to specify the sheet to be sheet name. Sheet name. Okay. Once you have the data in, we need to then we're going to modify some of the variables. So the function that we're going to use to modify the variables is the mutate function, right? And then we're going to make sure that we specify the player's name within the data frame. So the sheet's name. And we're going to utilize a new variable, right? New function called a recode. And so what this is allowing us to do is to, if a player comes in and their name is KB, we can specify as Kobe Bryant. This is just me introducing another function, okay? And then before, like we said earlier, allows us to put player as the first column in the data frame. Okay, so we have now this function that will read in the Excel file based on the specified sheet name. Okay, and as you can notice that we're only looking at the players. We're not looking at the divisions names yet. That's going to require us to do a bind. Oh wow, I'm already in transformation. That was not meant to be. Oh no, that messes up my whole paradigm. We're gonna keep going. I'll stop it in a little bit, but cause I got so ahead of myself. Oh man. Hopefully y'all find that funny. But last but not least, we're going to do a map DFR, meaning that we're going to do a map and then we're going to bind the rows right after this situation. So let me explain this a little bit more before I actually run this. Map DFR. Okay. All right. So what this is doing, you see it says player sheets, it says KB, LJ, MJ. Those are all the variables that are in the data frame, right? That's what we're going to use here. We're going to map that. We're going to put that as the vector into into map DFR and have each one iterate through each player, right? And then run this. So we're going to run this, and then we're going to get all the data frames. All data frames in one data frame. All the sheets in one data frame. So that alleviates the need to do the bind rows. Okay. So as you can see from last time, it was 3,500 rows, 40 columns. Okay, so that's huge. We did that. Okay, we did that. So I'm gonna end the video here because I messed up, but that's okay. You know, transformation should be its own video. But we'll finish the transformation in the next video. Thank you.